Hello and welcome to today's Mentera Care Chat. My name is Natasha Bowman, the Mentera Global Ambassador and host for the next 30 minutes of this Care Chat. During each Care Chat, we'll learn specific tips and tools you can implement in your organization to support mental health in the workplace, something I'm very passionate about. As we begin today's discussion, you'll notice that there is a chat box in the lower corner of your screen. So if you have any questions throughout the Care Chat, please feel free to type those questions in the box, and we will try to get to them at the end of our time today. All right, so today I am so excited. We're going to be discussing the topic of building a culture of trust and privacy in the workplace. And I'm so pleased to introduce our guest speaker, Lena, who's the Senior Director of U.S. Benefits at Hilton. Lena has over 20 years of health and welfare consulting experience. And in her role at Hilton, she oversees the U.S. health benefits and looks after the overall well-being efforts for Hilton team members. So to kick things off, let's start with a brief introduction. Lena, welcome to today's Mentera Care Chat. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and your work?
Absolutely, Natasha, and good afternoon. Thank you so much for having me here today. I am super excited to be here. So I was born and raised in Russia. We came to the US when I was 11. My family and I were part of the wave of Russian refugees that came to this country in the late 80s. And growing up, I really wanted to be an artist. So naturally, I wanted to be an art major in college, but I came from a family of engineers, doctors, and scientists, and really art was considered a little bit more of a hobby than a job. And so I ended up studying math and finance in college. And when I graduated, I started working for Cigna underwriting health insurance risk. I didn't quite know what an underwriter was when I took the job. And I remember announcing at graduation parties that I was going to be an undertaker. So yeah, that was my entry into the benefits world. Eventually, I made my way over to the benefits consulting side, and I spent 23 years working for various benefits consulting firms, leading benefits strategy and execution for large clients around the US. And just about 2 years ago, I decided to make a transition to the employer side, and I came to work for Hilton. I think I was really missing that critical piece that gave my work meaning, which is really seeing and experiencing firsthand how the results of my efforts impact employees. And so here at Hilton, I primarily look after our health benefits for all of our US team members. And I also get to lead and contribute to our broader efforts around really exciting initiatives like caregiving and mental well-being. And I'm really excited to be here today to talk about some of that work with you. So thank you again for having me on.
Oh, what an exciting personal story. And I'm glad that you're not the, undertaker, or what did you say you thought you were?
That's right, an undertaker.
I'm glad you're preventing us from seeing an undertaker. That's where your life work has been. So what an exciting journey you've been on. And I'm especially excited to hear about something specifically you've been doing at Hilton, which is the Hilton's Care for All program, which is a new industry-leading caregiving initiative designed to support team members on their caregiving journeys. So tell us all about it. Tell us about this great program.
I would love to. And what I'd like to do is usually when I talk about caregiving is start with a quote from Eleanor Carter about caregiving that really sums up this issue of our time. And it goes something like, there are 4 types of caregivers in the world: those who are caregivers, those who have been caregivers, those who will be caregivers, and those who will need care. Caregiving impacts all of us. There's just no getting around that. Adults in their prime working years are often forced to take leave or quit their jobs to focus on their loved ones. In fact, We know that caregiving is the second largest factor keeping people out of work behind early retirements.
Wow.
So, really, as the pandemic shed light on the challenges that our team members encountered while working, that was the pressing issue that came to the forefront. It was caregiving. It was hard to ignore people on screen with their families, with their pets, with their
Mhm.
children. Our team members were struggling to not only find ways to care for their children, but also for their other loved ones in their lives,
Mhm.
including their parents, their neighbors, their friends. And
Mhm.
so, what was interesting to us, Natasha, is when we looked at our population, overlaying some of the research that was conducted by the Harvard Business School, we
Mhm.
saw that at least 80% of our workforce couldn't perform their best at work due to the caregiving challenges they were experiencing.
Mhm.
Some of these statistics that I'm about to mention are probably not new to your audience, but I
Right.
think it's staggering nonetheless. Almost half of those in their 40s and 50s are part of the sandwich generation, meaning they're
Mm.
caring both for
Yeah.
their children and their parents. And I hear a resounding yes. So I sense
Mhm.
you're going through that as well. I can relate.
Yep.
60% of caregivers are women. The burnout between men and women doubled at the start of the pandemic, with 1 in 3 women considering downshifting their career or
Mhm.
leaving the workforce altogether. And caring for others, as you may very well know, takes a significant toll on an individual. We know that caregiving can almost be a second job, with an average caregiver carrying about 29 to 40 hours a week. And we, on average, shoulder this caregiving load for about 4 years. And beyond the time commitment, caregivers spend, the stats are that it's about $7,000 a year out of pocket on caregiving needs. I think it's probably actually higher. Caregivers incur more costs in their healthcare spend. And so, faced with the stress and juggling of caregiving responsibilities and the costs, caregivers are also twice as likely to suffer from depression and anxiety. And
Mhm.
so, all of this to say is that Hilton, as an organization, we just simply couldn't ignore this challenge. And so we set out to address it. And
Mhm.
what we found when we kind of embarked on this adventure is that caregiving resources have traditionally targeted parents with young children. But after talking to our team members, our team saw a wider need in our population. What
Mhm.
we wanted to do and what we really needed to do was to find more inclusive ways to address the complex caregiving needs of our workforce. Our goal was to continue to build a fully inclusive and human experience at work. It was really vital for us to recognize the many caregiving responsibilities that each of
Mhm.
our team members hold and to support them so that they can truly reach their full human potential, both at work and at
Yeah.
home. And I know that sounds like a really lofty goal, but we dream big here at Hilton.
Mhm.
So Hilton, up to that point, had already been successful with offering a resource hub through our Thrive at Hilton platform, which is just an online resource hub to help our team members address mental health challenges. That was something we stood up at the start of the pandemic. And we saw an opportunity here to create a similar resource, a Care for All hub targeting caregivers and making it available to everyone, not just our Hilton team members. And so, what we did was intentionally create an external online hub with educational resources that were organized by different topics, including how to care for yourself, for your children, for
Yeah.
elderly, sick, disabled, and pets.
Mhm.
And that was kind of the first part of the project. We also recognized that for our caregiving initiative to truly have a meaningful impact, we needed to find a partner that could take the actual to dos of caregiving off of our team members' plates.
Mhm.
We set out to find that partner that could give and provide personalized and compassionate support to help tackle the everyday logistics and administrative tasks of caregiving. And it was really important to us that the person on the other end of the service was a skilled expert in navigating the world of caregiving, and that they could do it in a highly empathetic way. And we found that partner in Wealthy. We rolled out that service in June of 2022 for all of our US team members. And eventually we expanded that partnership with Wealthy into UK and Ireland in September of the same year. Now, for those of you not familiar with Wealthy, I'll just kind of give a brief overview of what they do. Wealthy's care coordinators include master's level social workers, nurses, psychologists, other health professionals, and they don't just help to navigate the world of caregiving with helpful tips. They're the actual doers. Wealthy with so many facets of caregiving, like finding the right in-home aides, contesting medical bills, navigating Medicare, evaluating care providers, finding care options for veterans. That's really just like a tiny snapshot of what they can do. We made this service available to all of our US team members, full-time, part-time, union, non-union, free of charge. And lastly, what I'll say is what I really love about the way we've been able to sort of design and roll out this Wealthy caregiving concierge is that we don't define what family or loved ones mean in the caregiving context for our team members. As long as a team member is providing caregiving services for someone, it could be their neighbor, it could be their friend, it could be a mother-in-law, whoever it is, they can use Wealthy for support. We do not define who their loved ones are and what family looks like, because that looks different for everyone. What we do recognize is that they need help, and we're here to get it to them.
Oh, so much packed into that that I want to comment on. I don't even have enough time, but so much of what I've been, trying to advise organizations, it seems this program goes far beyond EAP services that we have traditionally relied upon. But going back to what you were saying, EAP just gives you like, oh, just call this person. That responsibility is still on you, even though they may be, helping you to find the resources. It's not giving you any time back. And I love that they're doing this for you, giving that time back to you, so that you can do some of the other things you need to be doing. That was the first thing that really caught my attention. And that whole definition of family. I still see to this day, as I consult with organizations defining who your family are, right? Whether it's through a bereavement leave, like, oh, you get this much for a mother and the father, you get this much for this, and it leaves out a whole bunch of people that you may consider family, right? You get to define who your family is. And so it was so much packed into that. Is Hilton hiring? Because I think I want to come work for you.
We would love to have you.
Oh, but that is just such a comprehensive program that I'm sure that your employees are just loving and benefiting from. What has been the feedback since you rolled this out in 2022?
Well, as you just mentioned, and as you can imagine, the feedback from our team members has been outstanding. We hear personal stories from folks who are dealing with really difficult caregiving situations, who feel like they've gotten a new lease on life with the support they're getting from Wealthy. The majority of our folks are using Wealthy when they need help caring for their aging parents. So this includes help with tasks like finding in-home support or a living facility, social activities, an attorney, memory care support, things of that nature. And then sort of the second biggest bucket where we see a lot of utilization is as our team members are caring for their children. So things like finding nannies or babysitters, local resources for their children, finding the right medical or mental health providers, scheduling appointments. And then really interestingly, the third biggest bucket is self-care. our
Yeah.
team members are actually using Wealthy to care for themselves. So they're
Wow.
reaching out to Wealthy when they need support navigating the healthcare system, researching financial assistance program, locating support groups. So all this to say is I'm really proud of what we've been able to accomplish here. We're making a real difference in our team members' lives. I can tell you when I go down to our cafeteria to get lunch, I am no longer stopped because someone's benefits aren't working. I'm getting hugs because people are thanking us for rolling out this
Oh
service
my
and
goodness.
providing them real support.
Oh, I wish I could just be there for a day to hear these stories and just hear the impact, directly from the employees. And I know it makes you feel so proud to be a part of that. When you get to do work and hear those things, that you're, changing lives at work. Everyone doesn't have that, So kudos to you for leading at that effort and being so passionate about it. And I wish we had hours and hours to learn more about it, because it's fantastic. Everything that I would imagine, that I have dreamed of what a comprehensive program is. And you mentioned this. You talked about taking care of yourself. People utilizing that to take care of their own well-being, and you also have, to complement that, right, a new mental well-being initiative that you've undertaken. Tell us more about that.
I would love to. So, as you might know, as a company, Hilton has just had a really incredible foundation that we've built over the last several years that focuses on caring for the whole human, the physical, the mental, and emotional health, educating to drive lasting habits, and really creating a safe space for open dialogue around needs and experiences. And so this year, we've continued that journey with the launch of a new global mental well-being curriculum designed to offer support as our team members care for themselves, for their teams, and for their loved ones. And the goal for us is to continue to put our team member well-being at the center of creating a fully human experience at work. You will hear me say that over and over. This is an experience where team members feel seen, they feel heard and understood as their true and authentic selves. This work is essential to our business, Natasha, because we know that when team members can care for themselves and their loved ones, they're better able to perform at their jobs, better able to take care of our guests, and better able to take care of our communities at large.
Yeah.
And so, if you read the news, mental health challenges are really a societal issue. They're not the issue of any single employer. But as a company with a track record and reputation for not shying away from these really big and complex challenges, we knew we had an opportunity to keep leading and pushing in this space. Right. And so earlier this year, we challenged ourselves on how to continue to innovate and support mental health and mental well-being of our team members, and really do it in the most for all manner possible.
Right.
And so on this, there are two paths that we're following. First is when team members and their loved ones are at a point where they need clinical care. They need to see a counselor, a therapist, a psychiatrist, what have you. And this first part of this project that I'm talking about, this only applies to the subset of the population that I directly deal with, which is our US managed and corporate team members. So our actual employees of Hilton. This does not include our franchised employees. We have been looking on how to improve access to clinical care. So really getting at how do we remove and lower the barriers to get care for these folks. Some of the work we did during the pandemic, we actually brought on an on-site counselor for our corporate team members.
Wow.
So we already had that going for us. It is a highly utilized and really loved benefit. She's just quite an amazing resource for us. So we did that at the start of the pandemic. And now next year, what we're doing is we're rolling out a best-in-class leading EAP partner that will bring over 9,000 new mental health care providers into the Hilton network. allowing our team members and their loved ones to get care in days, not weeks, from a
Mhm,
diverse
mhm,
provider network with many different specialties. And listen, if
mhm.
you have ever tried to access mental health care, you know what I'm talking about. So
Oh, yeah.
find a provider who takes insurance, who's in your network, who
Mhm.
actually has availability within the week, not 5 months out. That's a challenge. And so
It
we're
is.
solving for that directly. We've also lowered copays for mental health visits so that
Oh,
cost
wow.
is less of an impediment to getting care. So this first part of the mental well-being initiative is
Mhm.
just all about helping team members get the clinical care that they need promptly and without barriers.
Oh,
Mhm.
oh my goodness, that's so good. And that's something else that I'm always preaching about is, with the EAPs and that access, do an audit to see, how long is it taking people to be connected, and once you're out of the EAP, you've done with your sessions there, what's that time period to be connected to another provider and all of that. So, I mean, you're just really across the board addressing a lot of gaps, right, that we have not been addressing in previous years as it deals with mental health. That's just excellent. And one thing I want to go back to with the Cares for All program that was designed to support team member mental wellness and self-care and reduce the stigma. Obviously, that's what we're doing as well because we're talking about it. You're, just doing so many things associated with mental health care issues. You know, how are you capturing the data, the usage? I know you're saying that, people are coming to you, sharing the stories and things like that, but what does success feel like? How do you know people are utilizing the program, et cetera?
Oh, that is such a great question, and I will absolutely get to it. What I
Mhm.
wanted to do is just plug the second part of our mental well-being
Oh,
initiative because
please.
I will not
Uh-huh.
do it justice if I don't talk about
Okay,
it.
let's hear about it.
There's so many people that worked on it, and it is just such a great initiative. So I'll kind of get through that
Okay,
really quickly and
okay.
get to your question. So the second part of our mental well-being initiative is a 12-month learning curriculum that we have
Oh,
created. It is a global initiative in nature. It encompasses not only our corporate and managed team members, so our direct employees of Hilton, but it is also going to be available to our franchise estate around the globe. And the first part of this learning curriculum are in the moment resources that we created around mental well being. So, for example, if a team member is struggling with managing stress, they
yep.
can access a one-page tip sheet that offers 3 quick tips right then and there, followed
Hmm.
by videos and learning links to go deeper. And those tip sheets aren't just in English because this is a global initiative, they're
Hmm.
translated into 8 different languages.
Oh,
We also have longer form learning content. So, for example, if that same team member wants to learn more about stress management, we'll be offering live webinars developed by our
oh,
external
wow.
partners who are
Hmm.
all experts in these mental well-being topics and who will be delivering this content specifically for Hilton. The
Hmm.
exciting part is that we've partnered with an outside vendor that
Okay.
will allow for in-time translation of these live webinars so folks will be able to
Mm.
hear them in 30 different languages. So
Oh my
lots
goodness.
of Lots of learning content, on demand resources, live webinars
Mhm.
translated into different languages, available globally. And in addition to that, what we've done is we really tried to focus on managers and their role in creating a culture of well being. As we were working on this initiative, we came across this staggering statistics. So,
Okay.
what it said is that managers have a bigger impact on someone's mental health
Yes.
than their partner or spouse, and even that of their therapist. So
Yep.
let's pause and say that again. Your manager has a bigger impact on your mental well being than your therapist. So, recognizing that fact, we've co developed with our partners at Thrive Global and also our partners at Shatterproof, by the way, a wonderful addictions and substance use disorder advocacy organization.
Mhm. Mhm.
We partnered with them on a few short online classes for our managers on how they can support their teams when it comes to mental well-being. Listen, when you become a manager, nobody teaches you these things. Nobody
No.
teaches you how to talk to your teams about mental well-being, how to recognize when someone's struggling, how to have effective conversations. So we've created those courses and we'll continue to sort of develop those out. And really, we've designed this effort from the get-go to be for all. And this is really quite a big deal for us. It's the first time ever we've rolled something out that encompasses our franchise team members as well as our corporate owned and managed. And that means 420,000 team members around the globe who will have access to these resources.
Oh, wow. I was going to ask you about that because I know it's, unique in that you have direct employees and franchise employees. So to hear that some of these benefits are available, to your franchise employees as well, just speaks to the overall commitment from Hilton that everyone that works with them, they're taking care of their whole selves.
And, just to echo what you're saying, we have just previewed this mental well-being initiative at a conference I was at 2 weeks ago. It was attended by about 9,000 of our leaders, mostly from franchise properties.
Okay.
And the response was just so overwhelmingly positive. But really more than that, I cannot tell you about the number of people that came up to me and shared personal stories about their own mental well-being struggles, those of the team members that they work with at their properties, and just that instantaneous trust and bond that was created in those micro moments where we shared our experience about mental well-being was incredibly powerful. So I agree with you. I think this work resonates. It doesn't matter whether you're an owned and managed team member or a franchise team member. We're all human beings going through these same experiences, and we all need these resources.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So before we wrap up, we do have a question from our audience that I'd like to read for you and get your response. And it is, hold on one second. Good afternoon, Natasha. Great topic and information. Mental health certainly impacts employees in the workplace. What are your thoughts regarding how a traumatic life event like divorce or separation have on employee mental health in the workplace? And what resources, if any, does Hilton have in place to help its employees as it navigates through the divorce process? And has Hilton considered integrating divorce coaching and divorce mediation into its corporate EAP benefits program? That's a great question. We don't think about a lot of times divorce and how the cares are going back, we talk about caregiving and all of that, but grief. But what about divorce? Have you addressed that? Is that incorporated in some of the resources that you have?
I love this question because it's showing me that the folks on the line, probably HR professionals, are continuing to sort of think broader and bigger. And I love that. I will tell you that we haven't specifically considered or focused on divorce, although I think after this conversation, I'm going to go back to my team and pose this question to them. What we are actually working on is standing up a loss concierge. So when somebody is going through sort of that really tough time in their life, which is grief and losing of a loved one, of how we sort of band around them and support them in a more formalized way. But I don't see why we can't take that divorce piece and build that into it. I mean, that's a loss within itself. It's a huge life change. It is absolutely impacting our team members' mental health. And so to create something that would support them as they're going through that tough time in their life, I think would be very beneficial. Thank you to whoever brought that up.
I love that. That's something I'm going to even, try to think, incorporate into advices, as we think about time off, things like that, just those resources to help with that. Because I think that's probably a gap that a lot of organizations have overlooked. So thank you for that question. That was fantastic. So I'm just going to close with one last question. It just really seems like Hilton, is recognized, it doesn't seem, they are recognized, and they're committed to its exceptional and resilient workplace culture, and you're committed to your mental well-being and physical well-being, all of these great things. Is there anything else you'd like to share that you're doing to create that environment of excellence and resilience so that your employees stay with Hilton for the long term?
Absolutely. And as you may have heard me mention throughout the day, we at Hilton believe people are looking for a human experience at work. They don't want a work experience. They don't want life to fit into a good job. They want work to fit into a good life. And that's, at the end of the day, what we're trying to solve for here. We want to build a fully human experience at work and tap into the transcendent needs of our workforce. So I know we don't have a ton of time left here because I can go on for quite a while here, Natasha. And we do have an award-winning culture for a reason. So there's quite a bit here. I'll just throw out some examples, but this is certainly not all-inclusive. So this year we announced our impactful partnership with Shatterproof to support team members who are suffering from or caring for those with substance use disorder. We've really focused on destigmatizing this entire topic by hosting what we call a courageous conversation, where our CEO, Chris Nassetta, talked with the founder and CEO of Shatterproof, Gary Mendel, about what addiction is and isn't, the stigma and shame tied to this disease, and how we as human beings, as a company and as a society, can make a positive difference on this front. We've also created really easily accessible resources for team members who are struggling with substance use disorder or are caring for those that are going through it. Okay. As I mentioned, we're in the process of introducing a crisis care concierge to help our team members when they experience the most challenging time of their life, going through a loss. We have exceptional family benefits, robust paid parental leave, and adoption benefits, as well as leading fertility and family building benefits through Progeny. Hot off the press on this one, a first in the hospitality industry, we're getting ready to roll out a virtual women's health program that will focus on root cause resolution. So this is functional medicine, sort of married with traditional Western medicine. So excited about this initiative. I've been leading the efforts on that one.
Wow.
Sure, you'll hear more about it. We haven't quite announced it to our team members yet, so I can't talk too much about it, but very excited about that one. We have a leading employee stock purchase program with more than 70% of the purchased ESPP shares held by our team members, allowing them to experience ownership in the company. And of course, I can't forget to mention our most beloved benefit, which is our Go Hilton discount travel program, where our team members can stay at our properties all around the world at a really deep discount. So those are just some of the exceptional benefits that contribute to our strong culture.
I love it. I love it. I love it. And if I re-enter the workforce, I know the first place I'm coming to look.
That's right. That's right.
Oh, well, thank you so much, Lena. It has been a pleasure speaking with you and our audience today. And I know that everyone found this Care Chat to be informative and helpful. I know I did. I learned so much. And don't forget to join us for additional free educational opportunities at joinmentera.com. So thank you so much again to our expert guest speaker, Lena, and to all of our attendees that are joining us today. Thanks again, everyone, and I hope to see you next time.
Thanks for having me on.
Yes.